Hi and welcome back to another media wrap-up of the month. It is February and I have done a lot of movie watching, not so much reading, but a lot of movie watching, and I want to tell you about them and maybe recommend you some of them and tell you what not to watch. Because I didn't read that much, I will start with the books, because the only book that I started and finished was an arc that I very kindly got sent by Ned Galley. And it's by an author that I've wanted to read for a long time. And so I was very excited to read it. The newest book by Sayaka Murata, The Vanishing World, translated by Jenny Tapley Takamori. And I've wanted to read her work for a long time. And I knew it was going to get weird and very dystopian. And that's very much so what this book was. I'll read you the blurb. In our near-future world, children are solely conceived by artificial insemination. Even sex between married couples is viewed as taboo. Amaine's family is irregular. Her parents copulated to create her and hope that she too will find love and have a child with the person she marries. But Amaine falls in line with society's way of thinking and wants a regular, clean marriage. Then she hears of a place that is the subject of a social experiment. Everyone in Paradise Eden will act as one big family. Could this be the perfect third way? Like I said, very, very dystopian and a very interesting take. I think at some points, for me personally, the writing felt a bit flat or very weird, but also I kept on thinking maybe this is supposed to feel that way. I have yet to read her other work, so I don't know if it's just the way she writes or if this is specifically the way she wrote this book. That being said, I loved the premise of this book so much, and I think she executed it very nicely. I don't think I've rated this on Storygraph yet because I'm very unsure where my rating is, but it's not below 3. I think maybe 3.5. Yeah, I think 3.5 is fine. Maybe 3. 3.5. And like I said, I thought it was very funny and silly at times, but it also fitted the characters very well. And also I just thought the take on society's, especially at the moment, society's obsession with AI and such, and the way this took over the entire world, insane and scary, and I hope this never happens. But that's my take on that book. I would love to hear some discussions about this though. I thought I'd mention books that I started but have yet to finish, and for very valid reasons. The first one was Alice in Wonderland, and I read Alice in Wonderland completely, but I didn't read Through the Looking Glass, so I didn't know if I should count it, but it was very nice, and I loved the illustrations in here, and I just loved the story, and I liked, because I've never read it before, and I really liked reading more about it than we get in the adaptions. And the other book that I started, I won't tell you much about, but I will show you, because this might or might not be part of my next reading vlog if I manage to finish what I started, and it's Heroes of Olympus, The Lost Hero by Rick Riordan, obviously. And I love the Percy Jackson series. I have never read this one, and I'm doing a reading vlog of all of these. If you're into Percy Jackson, check that out. I hope I get it done soon, because they are a bit chunky and I'm only at the first one, but I'm halfway through, so who knows. Let's talk about film. And I watched a lot of great movies this month that just reminded me of how much I love cinema and how much I love cinematography, and just being understood and seen in cinema is such a great thing. Which is funny that I'm saying that, because the first movie I watched is Moana 2. I love Disney. I grew up on Disney, obviously, and I think I didn't like this as much as I hoped I would, but also it was very fun, and I didn't rate this because it's a Disney movie. Like, I don't know what to rate this on. Moana is a great character, so that's that. I did a rewatch of the entire Hunger Games franchise, and I started with The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. I won't tell you much about these, because I love them all. I watched The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, Hunger Games Catching Fire, and Mockingjay Part 1 and 2. Love them a lot. Like everyone, I love Catching Fire the most. And yeah, that's that on the Hunger Games. Let's get into new watches. Well, more serious new watches. Moana. I really randomly decided that I wanted to watch Conclave. And oh my god, I have not been able to shut up about it. I've told every single one of my friends that either they watch it or I'll tell them about this movie, especially about the ending of the movie. Oh my god, this is brilliant. And do not start with Oscar bait. No. This is a brilliant movie. I've seen it win some awards, which I'm very excited about because it's just that great. I really didn't think going into this that I would love it as much as I did, but oh my god, phenomenal acting, first of all. And just the story took me by such surprise, and I think that's what's brilliant about this movie. Came out last year, directed by Edward Berger, starring Ralph Fiennes, Stanley Tucci, John Lithgow, Isabella Rossellini. It's a cast for sure. Let me tell you what this movie is about, first of all. After the unexpected death of the Pope, Cardinal Lawrence is tasked with managing the covered and ancient ritual of electing a new one. Sequestered in the Vatican with the Catholic Church's most powerful leaders until the process is complete, Lawrence finds himself at the center of a conspiracy that could lead to its downfall. Why did no one tell me about how good this movie is? I think I watched it randomly because I saw an edit and I was like, hold up, I need to watch this. I'll also read you my Letterboxd review because I actually wrote one instead of just writing a one-liner. First of all, 4 stars. Brilliant. I think I might change it to 4.5 because it's just over time, couldn't stop thinking about it, couldn't stop researching about it. And now with the current situation of the Pope, very scared. Hold up. You know what? Hell yeah. First of all, I don't know, but I kind of want to wear that Kantia's black and red outfit. The one that Lawrence wears, I think, pretty much at the start of the movie. Not sure. Generally, all of the outfits. I was like, do I want to be a pope? I don't, but the outfits, Kanti. Crazy to say. The acting in this is phenomenal, as well as the writing. The third act was so profound, and that speech, absolutely brilliant. Would recommend anyone check this out if they want something new and interesting. And I know everyone's saying it, but that vape, exactly. The only reason I didn't immediately give it a higher rating was that it felt a bit slow at some time, in some moments, but I think now looking back on it, that's just bullshit. It's a great movie. And I love the discourse around it, and I love the edits being made. It's insane, but I really, really enjoyed it. That kind of just kickstarted me watching a lot of new releases, I'd say, because I've been just catching up on old movies that I've wanted to watch, and this month was very much watching the new releases. Because the next movie that I watched was A Real Pain, directed by Jesse Eisenberg, starring Jesse Eisenberg and Kieran Culkin, and oh my god. First of all, I was so annoyed by the trailer of this movie because it was playing anywhere and everywhere at all times. And I was getting so fed up with it. And then I randomly was like, okay, let me watch this shit. And I cried my ass out and felt seen and understood by both of the characters. And it's one of my new favorites, maybe. I wouldn't go so far to say it's in my new top 4. But it's very good. It's probably going to be one of my favorites of the year. Now, A Real Pain follows 2 cousins who kind of have a love-hate relationship with one another, have maybe lost touch with another. Oh, that sounds wrong. Who've maybe lost contact a bit, and their grandma dies, and she was from Poland. So they decide to go on this trip together to Poland to grieve her and see where she came from and see what she went through. And it's a very wonderful story. I think Jesse Eisenberg did a wonderful job with this. He was very careful, but also, well, he handled the subject matter very respectfully and gracefully, but he also didn't make the movie too serious and too heavyweight. And it's just really brilliant job, I think. And obviously, Kieran Culkin, the actor that you are. And I remember when I started watching it, I was like, oh, I think, what were the names? David and Benji. I think at the beginning I was like, oh my god, I get David so much and I wish I was Benji. And then maybe 15 minutes into the movies, I was like, oh, I am Benji. And then it just kind of kept switching until half of the movie was done. I was like, oh, okay, so I relate to both of them. And then it just kind of got depressing from then on because the characters have been through a lot. And They're both very thoughtful. You can tell how much love went into both of the writings of the characters, and there's just so much understanding and love, but also, you know, that hate you have for someone that isn't the kindest to themselves. And I thought this was wonderful, and also the story part in Poland was so heartbreaking, but so gracefully done. Cried my eyes out. And also all of the side characters, brilliant. Totally recommend you watch this with your cousin. No, but seriously, please watch this movie. Even if you don't end up being the biggest fan of it, I think it's a great watch. The next movie I also haven't rated yet, because I'm just very... I watched A Real Pain in the next two movies in one day, and I think that might have been not a mistake, but I felt very knocked out the day afterwards, because I usually watch a lot of movies on a single day anyway, but these were all three very heavy movies, and this in particular was a very long movie that has been on my watch list for the longest of time, so I'm glad I did watch it. I'm just not sure what to rate it, because I have very mixed feelings, but let me tell you about it first. It was Suspiria, directed by Luca Guadagnino in 2018, and it stars all the girlies that you could possibly want in this. Dakota Johnson, Tilda Swinton, Mia Goth, Ingrid Cavan, Angelica Winker, Chloe Grace Moretz, and great cast. First of all, this is set in Berlin, and I always struggle with movies that are set in Germany and then the talking German. It's very funny to me. I'll read you the blurb and then I'll tell you why and how I felt about it. Young American dancer Susie Benyon arrives in 1970s Berlin to audition for the world-renowned Helena Marcos dance company. When she vaults to the role of lead dancer, the woman she replaces breaks down and accuses the company's female directors of witchcraft. Meanwhile, an inquisitive Meanwhile, I can't see meanwhile without thinking about Hamilton. Meanwhile, an inquisitive psychotherapist and a member of the troupe uncover dark and sinister secrets as they probe to the depths of studio's hidden underground chambers. Where I went wrong into this was that I didn't check how long this movie was going to be, because I was very interested in it, but then it just felt so long to me. And I also want to add that I have yet to see the original Suspiria, which I do want to do. Maybe I should have done that first, not too sure. But I did like this. Brilliant acting. I think Dakota learned to dance for this. Well, learned to professionally dance for this, and at least that's what I remember. And she did wonderfully. All the dancers, I really haven't looked into it, but I really hope that they actually put dancers in this and not actors who could dance. Well, no. I really hope that they put professional dancers in this and not like actors who had to learn to dance, because that would be way cooler. I like the goriness. It was very disgusting. I think this is one of the first movies that actually had me in shock and in semi-tears, because I was just that disgusted. Very gory and weird and iffy scenes. That's not a negative point, it's just made me feel something, I guess. I think the point that just made me not too sure was how long it was, and also how confusing it was. Like always, cinematography with Luca's work, always stunning. Did he work with the same cinematographer as usual? Yeah. So, cinematography, wonderful. I loved Berlin in that time. Looked very real, and Tilda Swinton obviously can do no wrong. It's a crazy movie. I still have not figured out my feelings on it. I think because of that, maybe 3.5, maybe 4, because I did like the story and the weirdness and the dancing and all of it, because I used to I used to professionally dance for 15 years, I think. So I did enjoy it, but only to some extent. I don't know what to rate it. I think this review on Letterboxd describes my feelings pretty well towards the movie. There's some scenes in this film that are so morbidly transfixing and artfully constructed that you can't help but be slightly impressed. Slightly is undertaking it. The problem is that there are also a lot of other scenes. Lots and lots and lots of other scenes. And I think, for me, there weren't that many unnecessary lots and lots of other scenes, but there were a bit too many scenes. And I've seen a lot of reviews say that, so I'm not the only one. And my review on Letterboxd was the following. Me when I finally let my hair grow again and want to go back to dance class. And that's literally what I've been going through in my own personal life. My hair hasn't been this long since I was 14. I'm now 21. And like I said, I used to dance and I stopped for many reasons, and now I want to start dancing again. Not how I used to, but I miss dancing. And then I watched maybe the worst movie I've ever watched. Well, cinematography in the next movie, beautiful work, very sexy work. Well, the cinematography, please don't take that wrong. The storyline, not sexy at all. No. But the cinematography, beautiful. It's Miller's Girl. And I knew going into this that this wasn't going to be a good movie. I just wanted to watch it because I love Jenna Ortega. And because after Suspiria and The Real Pain, I wanted something that's not going to be overwhelmingly exciting and it's going to take up much in my brain space because I forgot I watched this. So that tells you a lot about it. Published last year, directed by Jade Helly Bartlett. And I always, starring Jenna Ortega and Martin Freeman, and I always find it very interesting when movies that discuss topics such as this are directed by a female, because I'm like, girl, what you up to? Why? I think when this movie came out, there was also some controversy surrounding Martin Freeman having a very young girlfriend, if I remember correctly. Don't quote me on that. But Miller's Girl follows this student who's a very talented writer who starts going to a new English class, and she gets kind of obsessed with her teacher. He starts giving her extra work and they start seeing each other on the down low. If boobies? Books, movies and boobs? Okay. Well, that's kind of my brand. Anyway, if books such as Lolita, My Dark Vanessa, and many other great books that talk on the danger and the problems that come with an age-gappy relationship and a predatory relationship didn't teach us anything, then I just don't know why this movie exists. I really fucking don't. Jenna, beautiful. She looked beautiful. Very unnecessary movie. 1-star rating. I would have given it 0, but the cinematography was great. It went wrong in so many ways. I think they could have done this a lot better. If this movie had a point, for example, there was no reason no. It was very. Actually, let me check out the other people on this crew. It felt very male gazy. And there were some queer characters in this that just, why did that do that to my girl? But okay. The next movie I watch, I also have an in-depth review on my channel, because I did a video where I watched book-to-screen adaptations, and this adaptation was one of the best adaptations I've ever seen. It's Small Things Like These, starring Cillian Murphy, and wonderful and important storytelling, directed by Tim Millians. And if you haven't read or watched it, please do. And also maybe watch my video on the adaptations. The next movie, however, interesting rating. I think that's too many stars. Diana, why did you do that? Was Babygirl 2024, starring Nicole Kidman, Harris Dickinson. It's been everywhere. I don't have anything good to say. I love Nicole Kidman. The only good thing I can say is George Michael, but he's not even in the movie. But this is a film made for middle-aged women who are bored in their marriage and want to have some more fun in their life. Sorry to say it, but it's just many things wrong. I hate the stereotype of if a woman is dominant in her workplace, she must be submissive in her private or sexual life. That's just such an outdated stereotype, I think, and this could have been done well. When this was announced that this was being made, I was really hoping that Harris Dickinson's character would be the baby girl, but he wasn't, which was disappointing. I think that would have been brilliant and a very new and refreshing take, but it's not. I don't want to give too much away. Oh well, I can. there's this one scene that I think some people on TikTok are freaking out about, or a spoiler warning, where he calls her a good girl. Maybe like, it felt like 10 minutes into the movie, but it was maybe a bit longer. And it's just so icky. I don't know, maybe I'm too queer for this movie, but no, flat. This was very flat. Like, it just all of a sudden he was approaching her and acting on his crush on her, and yes, we knew that she was having these fantasies privately, but she obviously didn't share those with him. And I just felt like his random approach to her just felt very random and aggressive and disrespectful. But she was into it, I guess. It just was really freaking me out. What I hated the most was the relationship with her daughters, especially the one scene after everything gets found out, in which the daughter is also a cheater, comes to comfort her mum, and they basically bond over them being cheaters, and it's very normalized, which maybe I just grew up with the fucked up. But cheating's not okay. So the daughter was very pretty, but both of them, but just very, very much fail for me. I guess there's some people that love this, and I also saw some girls in their 20s who love this. I just no. Now the next movie, on the other hand, I really loved, and I didn't think I would. And it's Anora, directed by Sean Baker, 2024. And I knew there were a lot of... I didn't even tell you what Babygirl's about. Well, I know there are a lot of controversies, especially surrounding the topic on intimacy coordinators, which I think is a very important matter. However, there are many great video essays about it and many great takes on it. I'm not getting into that. I just watched a silly little movie. Not so silly a little, but, well, a little silly. It stars Mikey Madison, and she's just such a great actress. I'll read you the blurb. Anora, a young sex worker from Brooklyn, gets her chance at a Cinderella story. Once the news reaches Russia, her fairy tale is threatened as the parents set out for New York to get the marriage annulled. And I love this so much. I didn't think I would. I just thought I'd watch this and be done with it. But I've been thinking about the movie a lot. And I've been very interested to see the internet discourse on it. And Mikey just such a brilliant actor. And I was giggling at the start of this movie. It felt very, like a very sweet and innocent romance, and you could tell that they both weren't totally in it for what they were saying they were in for it, but it was very silly and fun, and then it just got very sad and frustrating and nerve-wracking, and I was rooting for Anora the whole time. And the ending, very controversial, I know, had me in tears. I've seen a few people say it felt very male gazy. It didn't to me, and I think the terms male and female gaze have been thrown a lot in very unnecessary places. Not saying this is an unnecessary place, but I think because it's been used so much, especially in media on TikTok, not too sure about those terms anymore. However, male gaze is still pretty shitty, but I did not think this movie had that. Of course it's going to feel male gazy. She's a sex worker, and that's how the movie is supposed to make you feel, because that's her life. And I really liked the difference between seeing her work and then still at work, but behind the scenes with all the other girls. And it felt very real. I've seen a lot of actual sex workers talk about and appreciate this movie for that reason. 4.5 stars from me. And I will be thinking about this movie for a long time, I think. Now, we have 5 more movies to go. The next movie I watched was Wicked. This was a rewatch. I kind of didn't want to rewatch this, but I was in a situation where I was forced to rewatch it. Not actually, but I rewatched it. And I very spontaneously, finally, maybe, watched Gladiator 2, which stars my favorite actor, which is just so surprising to me that I haven't watched it until yet, but I'm just very much not interested in that story. However, this is directed by Ridley Scott, starring Bumblebee. I don't think he's on camera, but I have many posters of him of his movies. And I'm not trying to start this conversation, but I've been here for a long time. That's all I'm saying. It also stars Denzel Washington, Pedro Pascal, Connie Elise, Joseph Quinn, Fred Hetchinger, a lot of people. This I think this is the most okay movie I've ever seen. I don't think this movie is made for me. I think they all did brilliant job at their acting, especially Paul, of course. He's a wonderful actor. Shut up, Diana. But brilliant acting, very okay story, very, very okay. Anything else, just it's okay, you know. But I truly do not think this movie is made for me. So I don't know if my review is that important, but as someone who usually, I don't think any of Paul's work has been rated lower than 4.5 for me, and not because I find him hot, which I do, but because I think he usually stars in very great projects. It's not made for me. It wasn't meant to be for me. So I think I gave it 3 stars, and then I bumped it down to 2.5. The next one was I also want to mention that I rewatched Nosferatu. I just have like 15 minutes left of it, so I didn't know if I should count it, but I did. Great movie, of course. I then watched The Last Showgirl, which I was so excited to watch because, well, I love Pamela Anderson and I love Keenan Shipka a lot. That's my girl. And the second this was announced, I was very excited, and I've seen some mixed reviews about it, but I did like it a lot. I don't know, it's directed by Gia Coppola, 2024, and it follows The Last Showgirl, which is played who is played by Pamela Anderson. You know, the classic American showgirls, and the last standing show also gets abruptly cancelled, so a bunch of people lose their jobs, and a bunch of people are very passionate about those jobs, and it's very sad and very magical to see the love that people have for dancing and for performing. And I think Pamela Anderson did a wonderful job at this. Keenan Shipka had me in tears. That's this one specific scene. I was crying a lot. It also stars, by the way, Jamie Lee Curtis, Dave Bautista, and Brenda Song. I thought this was beautifully made, beautiful cinematography, beautiful costuming. Such great costumes. Some parts of the story felt very powerful, but then they were kind of left in the corner and not talked about anymore. I think this had a lot of scenes that could have been cut and had more discussion and a bit more in-depth discourse on some of the topics that were mentioned. So I give it a 3.5. I think I thought while watching I would give it a higher rating because I did like it a lot. Just those parts, I think they could have went even deeper, but brilliant acting, and I really liked how they also put a struggling mother storyline in there, and then the closeness and friendship that is involved in such a industry, and the sisterhood that's involved in such an industry very nicely. Like I said, could have been a bit more deeper. The next 2 movies also star the love of my life, so it's not going to be very surprising, but I finally watched Companion, directed by Drew Hancock, 2025. Watched this in cinemas because I had a free ticket, and it stars Sophie Thatcher and Jack Quaid and Lucas Cage, Megan Surrey, Harvey Quillen, which I love him so much. I love What We Do in the Shadows. It's a great movie. It's not the best or the most life-changing movie, but I thought it was great. I really enjoyed this. It was a fun and entertaining time, and I think that's what movies should be about. Well, some movies, if it's not a very serious movie. But this also had me quite in shock, and there is one scene towards the end which was too realistic. A billionaire's death sets off a chain of events for Iris and her friends during a weekend trip to his lakeside estate. That's a very, 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 very short synopsis. Sophie Thatcher, brilliant acting. Me and my friend, we kept on being like, okay, she's not because we both have a crush on her, which we do, but she just did very wonderfully, and I think they casted this perfectly. They all made a lot of sense for the characters, and I thought it was a very interesting take on the topic. I'm not going to tell you what it is, but I'm also starting to learn that horror movies doesn't mean that they have to be super scary, because I like the idea of horror. I'm very much into the paranormal and the mysterious and weird, and with Nosferatu, Companion, and the next movie I will talk about, I'm starting to learn that I can watch horror, because I used to be very much against watching horror because it just never felt good to me, and I was also very paranoid and scared most of the times. But like with all genres, there are subgenres in the genres, and I'm starting to find my version of horror that I enjoy, which is either 80s or horror movies that are just a discourse on the human species and society and whatever. And that's what Companion is to me. It wasn't creepy. It had some maybe gory scenes in it. Well, yeah, it was pretty gory. And I thought it was a very interesting take. 4 stars from me. Yesterday, I finally watched Heretic. Directed by Scott Beck and Brian Woods, 2024, starring Hugh Grant, Sophie Thatcher, and Chloe East. Brilliant movie. I haven't rated it yet because I literally watched this last night. I will read you the synopsis first. Question everything. 2 young missionaries are forced to prove their faith when they knock on the wrong door and are greeted by a diabolical Mr. Reed, becoming ensnared in his deadly game of a cat and mouse. I still have a lot of questions about this movie. I think, like Companion, I would give it a 4 star. It's 4 stars, but very different from Companion. Very differently rated, even though it's the same star rating, but it just felt very different. I loved the cinematography a lot, and this one I kept on being like, oh my god, that's gorgeous. Meanwhile, it's the most disgusting scene I've ever seen. No, I thought it was a gorgeous movie. Very interesting take. I love movies that discuss the culty and weird aspects of religion, and it very much felt like a deep dive on that. Maybe not in the best way possible. Mr. Reed's kind of cuckoo, but I did still think it was very greatly done. Sophie Thatcher, call me. Why did I do that? Brilliant set design. Oh my god, so genius. Beautiful cinematography. I think the way they worked the camera really had an impact on this movie, and I like the storytelling. I had a few suspicions of where this was going to go, but I was still very surprised, and I didn't see anything of it coming. Kind of. No. Was very surprised. A lot of twists and turns in the story and in the house. I've yet to read some analysis on this movie, which I really want to do, especially about the ending, and I can't wait to finally deep dive into this movie, which I will do the second I finish recording, which will be soon. And Hugh Grant, just brilliant actor. Oh my dear lord. That's phenomenal acting. I was so annoyed and just over his character, but that just proved how well he did, and I cannot wait to read into this. And I think there's a lot of detailing and symbolism that I missed, but I will get into now because I'm just finished. Those are all the movies I watched and the 1.5 books I read. Please let me know your thoughts on any of these, and also let me know how much, well, not how much, but what you watched, if there were any standouts, if there were any letdowns, and I'm excited to do more media consuming in the next month. See you then, and love you loads. I hope February treated you well.